There's no doubt cell phones emit low-level radiation. The question is, could they cause cancer? For decades, Health Canada has said there is no concrete proof, no reason for concern. But now, a small step in that direction, particularly for kids. In a press release today, Health Canada encourages parents to reduce their children's RF exposure from cell phones, since children are typically more sensitive to a variety of environmental agents. It's a message parents in other countries have been getting for years. The UK, Germany, Belgium, Israel, Russia, and India have all warned that kids, even teens, should limit their cell phone use. And what's the advice for adults? Health Canada now reminds cell phone users that they can take practical measures to reduce RF exposure, such as limit the length of calls or use text messages or hands-free devices instead. Cutting back might be hard. There are more than 24 million cell phones in Canada, and a lot of those users are kids.
My first phone, I was probably about 8, 11-ish.
The wireless industry was not available for interviews, but issued a statement basically repeating what it's always said, like this comment by Bernard Lord last spring.
We abide by those standards that are set, and we fully believe that the products that we have that are safe.
On its website, Health Canada has always advised these measures if you're one of those people who are concerned. Now it's encouraging everyone to take these precautions. So does that mean Health Canada is now concerned? Well, no one would talk to me on camera, but on the phone, a spokesperson didn't really answer, just said the science is still inconclusive. You know, they aren't the only ones to be quietly suggesting people pay attention. Peter, I have a question for you. Have you ever read all the fine print in the booklets that come with cell phones?
The truth, no.
Probably most people are like you. This is the BlackBerry manual. It says to hold the device an inch away from your body when the device is turned on. The iPhone manual says to hold that device 5/8 of an inch away from your head when you're making a call. Who does that? And yet it's in most of these books. Like Health Canada, they're trying to offer helpful information and also making sure that they can't be accused of not telling you that this could be an issue. They're trying to offer helpful information and also making sure that they can't be accused of not telling you that this could be an issue.
So begrudgingly, Health Canada turns around and says maybe you should start reading the safety concerns. Remember, Russia turns around and says you shouldn't be using a cell phone or your microwave if you're a teenager because of the delicate balance you have as a developing genetic person.
And it does have some real effects on your health, on your body's cellular functions.
So one thing that Global did not cover was the serious health concerns, the cancer-causing agents, the damage that it does to the DNA, and basically the horrendous effects that you can have, but we have video.
It shows you just how bad this stuff is.
While industry has failed to do any peer-reviewed studies on smart meters and health effects, a growing body of independent research is now starting to accumulate.
In our second set of tests, we're using the smart meter. Before the exposure, we see the same thing as we saw in the first samples. Normal cell walls, fairly separated and looking healthy. So after 2 minutes of exposure in front of the smart meter at about 1 foot away, we see a totally different story. Sample 1, you can see a lot of degradation in the cells. The cell walls have been broken, and you see changes in the cells which are called mycoplasma. It shows a mutation to the cell. In the second sample, we see a different type of degradation to the cell membranes. You can see a corrugation here. This is called bottle cap formation, and it's known that this occurs due to oxidation or exposure to free radicals. So this third subject, when we did her sample, she had to be pulled away from the meter after 45 seconds because she complained about an increasingly severe headache. And here you see a phenomenon called rouleau, where the red blood cells are stacking up, which makes it very difficult for the blood to deliver oxygen to the tissues as they would be their normal function. Every single one of these is a degradation. Every single one of these shows a trauma to the blood cells. And that came from something, and the only variable was the smart meter.
This is a wireless device which is unproven scientifically, which all the evidence so far proves is dangerous or questionable, which should therefore be studied intensely before it's released to the public. Clever people called the technology smart to make it seem intimidating so no one would question it. Some smart ad man came up with that and got paid $300,000 to call it a smart meter so you would feel less knowledgeable, which they know we feel, and then you wouldn't question the smart people putting it in your house.
So that makes a point.
It does. That's an excerpt from a film called Take Back Your Power. And it really does give you a visual idea on how bad the effects are from microwave frequency.
We have seen that there are huge groups nationwide, in fact worldwide, that are starting to stand up against the amount of radiation that we're exposed to because of cell towers, smart meters, and things like your baby monitor. Locally, there are Citizens for Safe Technology, a very well-organized, well-informed group, and one of the leaders within that group is Dr. Ross Andersen.
And of course, BC Hydro is perfectly willing to meet with people who are voicing those concerns.
Yes. So, to start things off on the propaganda side, to start debunking what major corporations are saying is safe, let's take a look at the way Global handled the interview with Dr. Ross Andersen.
Metering devices are not a welcome upgrade for some. Anti-smart meter activist groups throughout BC are opposing the change, saying the continuous radiation into people's homes will cause severe health risks, including cancer, DNA damage, and infertility problems. Dr. Ross Andersen has chosen to opt out. The retired naturopath says he treated patients for years that were ill from what he calls electropollution.
The list of challenges that people are seeing is quite long and very, very disturbing because of the effect that this actually has.
These are safe and that actually they're pretty low emitters of RF. I mean, you look at something compared a meter to a smartphone, is a smartphone's about.
So in that story, we saw that they in 2 minutes of story, they gave the people with concerns, serious concerns about cancer and DNA damage, about 20 seconds.
Yeah, well, that's about fair for, Global.
So a minute, 40 seconds for one side of the story, 20 seconds for the health side of the story. Of course, they cited a representative of Fortis having an equal amount of information to a doctor, Dr. Ross Andersen. Surprising and shocking. However, we did a little digging.
Yes, we did.
And we came up with a video that shows you the way that the propaganda works. Let's listen to this guy from BC Hydro.
When you see these warnings from scientists all around the world, and these are the best scientists in the world, and I often will quote Ole Hansen or Dr. David Carpenter and all these well-known doctors and researchers.
Okay, now you're proselytizing. You're not asking a
well,
question.
The thing is,
but the answer back to you is that there's an equally huge amount of literature out there that has been studied and has looked at the things that you're talking about and said there is no problem. So you can find people who say there's a problem. I've known that through my whole career. There's always somebody who will say the sky is falling. But the literature that BC Hydro relied on, the literature that they have looked at, the literature that has been in the public domain for a long time, from journal-tested articles, from the experts that we think are true experts as well, those are the ones that we have relied on. And so when you have a change in technology, you will have a group of people, and some of them very, very educated people. Some of them I actually know, and they'll say, this is what's going to happen. The answer is, that's not what the rest of the literature shows. And in essence, we've done the human experiment with Wi-Fi, with cellular phones, with electricity. We live with more electricity and electrical current than you can ever imagine. And our population is getting healthier.
And we're not getting healthier. Are you kidding?
Yes,
absolutely ridiculous.
hang on,
I would challenge you on that. I see children who are already losing their memories. They're teenagers. They're already talking about seniors' moments. Please don't talk to me about children getting healthier. They are more sickly than ever.
We as doctors know that. We've seen them. And that's one of the reasons Fiona went to great lengths to say, we are going to be looking at the issues, and we're going to try to find a solution for the individuals who have that. So we've been consistent in that message back to the people.
So as you can see within that story, the BC Hydro, spinner, is saying that he's pointing towards literature that they are producing. They're not saying the literature has any credibility, and they certainly aren't saying doctors, scientists, or insurance companies think that these things are safe.
And you have to wonder who funded the studies that the hydro spokesperson is citing.
Yes, it's sort of like the climate change debate. Look at one scientist who says, oh, well, there's reason to question it, and then 99 scientists who are saying that it's man-made and man-caused. We're looking at the exact same thing within the debate with the surrounding smart meters and radiating our children and our entire communities.
However, there are some simple solutions you can take to help alleviate your health concerns around smart meters.
Coming up, we've got a special that's going to go and talk about the real story of propaganda and the solutions, but the solutions that you have might be simpler than you think. Here's a clip on how to protect your family.
We just were drinking some wine one night, but it's kind of the problem solution, and I kept reading about and going to city council meetings where people complain about the radiation from smart meters, and I heard a lot of people complain about it, and I heard a lot of people say they had bad health effects from it. And I come from an electrical background working in RF, and I understand how that works, and I said, well, geez, if people are complaining about it, why not just shield it with something that blocks that wavelength of radiation? And it's pretty straightforward, pretty easy to do, and so we went through a few iterations of design and developed this to block that and solve a problem with people that didn't want to be radiated.
Okay, now it's higher. So that's 30, 40,000, 50,000.
Let's put this on it and
go for it.
This single strong source of RF is well shielded by the metal mat. Now a stout phone antenna at a distance, measured through a window.
take it off.
So it's like 25,000, 30,000.
So it's awesome. There's some simple, cheap ways in order to protect yourself.
However, health effects aside, there are still no solutions to addressing the cost of the increasing cost, the privacy concerns, and the risk of fire, and the fact that insurance doesn't cover smart meter fires.
In fact, insurance agencies will not cover smart meter installations, very possibly because of the damaging health effects, but there's got to be a reason why, since you can insure people driving on the Autobahn, but Fortis can't get insurance for its smart meters.
And you have to wonder if they're informing the installers of smart meters that there may be some dangers involved as well.
While you're not being informed about the health dangers or physical dangers involved by people like Global News right here at CHBC in Kelowna and across the country in North America, as a matter of fact, we're going to be here for you. I'm Darren Howard.
And I'm Robert Nisbet.
Remember, if you're tuning to the end of this, you are part of the conscious revolution, and we need you to start standing up. Get a hold of the guys at Citizens for Safe Technology and take a look at their website, download the information, and see how you can protect your home and your family from smart meters.
And please share that information with other people you know.
All right, we've got more specials coming up. We're going to be talking about a number of different issues, and then we have a major breakdown of the propaganda that Global put forward. I am still Darren Howard.
And I'm still Robert Nisbet.
Thanks for tuning in. We've got more specials coming up.